Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is The Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports, Pro Golf, and this is the second episode in week 39 of the Gaming Decathlon competition. And this is it. After that last game just ended, and I was feeling quite distraught by the end of it, there's now an update, and I felt that it needed to come right away. No wait till next week, second episode of the same week, because version 1.1 is out, and I'm excited because it's addressed some of the concerns that I've had. So we're going to give it a shot. Not only are we going to give it a shot, but we're going to try on very hard. So here is the announcement from Wolverine Studios. Gary Gorski. Here's the announcement for 1.1. There are 3 new courses. I do not have them yet. We'll see how this update goes. I would love to stick with this series. Okay, but the new courses are Desert Creek, Carmel Bay, and Hilton Head. Here's the changes, though. Improved chipping and overall shot accuracy. Green reading icons are easier to read. That one doesn't matter as much for me trying to play the AI control, but improved golfer AI on certain shot decisions. Here's the big ones. This is what I've been hampering for. Made it easier to improve from practice rounds on lower tours. Made it easier to obtain copper coins on lowest training level on lower tours to help be able to earn money and stay alive there. So there is hope. We'll see how different it is when we get into it. I'm going to go all the way back to very hard and the frustration that might come with it. But I want this to succeed. I want this series to succeed. I still have hope. With that, version 1.1, ready to dive in. Here we go. So, power right now, nothing. I have to develop it. But I've got my woods, I've got my wedges, I've got my putting maxed out before they go into that silver tier and start getting very expensive for each training point. The recovery and mental are there a bit. The mechanics is there a bit. A little bit of long irons. Everything else, got to train for it. So let's see how this new training model carries out. I'm excited to try. So once again, we're going to start as an 18-year-old golfer on the JAG Tour, the Junior Tour, on very hard. Alright, so just like in the previous playthroughs, at least on very hard, we're starting with very, very little money. It's October. We've got a few months until the first tournament comes up. Let's see how it looks. We've got a few things to set up first, though. First, one quick commissioner thing to do. We've got to go into the tours. It starts with just the 2 default courses. So I'm going to randomize courses to introduce my other courses, but I'm not changing anything else on the schedule. And then it's time to go in and do our basic setup. We need to choose that caddy. The asterisks will not sign with us yet. Boy, not many choices, huh? So there's another change that didn't show up. Because nobody wants to sign with me. Maybe it's because I have those zeros. Wait, was there even one? Anthony Hudson? Are you our man? Is the only one. Nobody wants to work with me. Alright, training budget. I'm going to try 0 for a couple days. See if there's any effect on the fatigue. In version 1.0, 0 meant no training occurred, meant you didn't develop. And you had to spend money in order to train. And if you couldn't earn money because you couldn't make a cut, didn't balance out, didn't work. We'll give that a shot first before we try the 500. Okay, equipment. Boy. Now I don't know if I want to spend... the equipment's a one-time thing. Or at least in the short term. And it's got to help. So I'm going to start with the good equipment. Yeah, let's see. Okay, we don't get sponsors in the junior tour. That takes us to a quick look at emails. We don't need those. Delete. Profile. Alright, so here we are. We've got a long ways to go, especially with a few zeros. We've got to do some training. We'll see how it looks. It says practice is now also improved. So I'm going to start with a little experimentation. I'm going to do training only for a little bit. Training at 0 right now. Let's train this week on 0 and see if there's any change to the fatigue. No change to the fatigue. We are not getting tired. And we're not developing. Okay. That didn't change. I didn't expect it. Yeah, see, set a training budget. On 0, it's considered not training. Apparently, can't train for free. Okay, so we have a training budget on the low end now, 500. Let's get back to it. Now we have a weekly cost, and that's not cheap. Okay, but let's see what we get for 1 week worth of training. Copper star. Copper star. Copper star. Look at that. Every day. Every day. Okay, there was 1 day where we didn't get one. But the cost, 500. Resale value, 1,000. We have a sustainable model. We have a sustainable model. So this is going to work. We have fatigue. We are making more money in terms of resale value than we are the expense. Thank you, Wolverine Studios. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This will work. Now, I cannot spend all of those stars because then we run out of money. So I do have to sell some. But in the end, that money will balance out and we will be able to train successfully. 5 out of 6. Let's make it 7. 6 out of 7. Okay, 6 out of 7 earned a copper star. So we spent 3,500. We earned 6,000. sustainable model now exists. Version 1.1. So now, I finally feel like this is a game that can be done. There is a sustainable model to have success on very hard. It might be difficult. It might take me a while. But we're going to get there. We will get there. This will work. Okay, I'm going to do a week of nothing but practice rounds. Cost comes down a lot. $350, $50 per day. Let's double check our profile. See where we're at. Okay, everything's a 5 or a 0 for the final digit. Let's see if there's any development from practice rounds. No change yet. But last time, it took me an entire year to develop from a practice round a single attribute point. So it's still slow, but there's got to be something in there. So practice rounds are still a very slow way to go. The training is clearly the better model if this holds true. So why don't I set up just a basic training schedule. We'll rest 2 days, train 5 days a week. Now let's sim through the week. All right, lots of copper stars earned, so yes, it is real. This will work. Thank you, Wolverine Studios. A very hard game now is finally playable. Alright, so that's 14. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trade in 10 of those. That gets us just about right back to where we started. And we're going to make our first 4 upgrades. Now, these only go for anything below 30. So let's start with the short irons. It would be nice if there was an option to train more than one at a time, especially in the same category. But that's okay. And there we go. We've done some training. Now, at this rate, I'm in a world of hurt, right? I'm not going to be able to train effectively. I'm only going to get copper stars out of it. So you got to play a long game to make this work. Now getting to 30, that's going to be relatively easy. And that's 90 overall that I need to spend. That's going to take a while to get those all to 30. Once I get those to 30, well, yeah, you see, I'm going to have trouble because I'm not going to get bronze stars out of this, or at least not frequently. But I sell all those copper stars. You make a slight profit. And you can train better occasionally and hopefully get a higher value star at some point. See? It works. You can make slightly more than you spend. This can work. This can work. I'm so excited. Okay. Let's sim through a bit. Fatigue not quite balancing out, so I'm going to have to go maybe to a 4-day model. Rest 3. Now, when I get to the point where it's only December, but when I get to the point where tournaments are, I'm not good enough to make the cut. So I'm not going to be competing in tournaments. Though I might do one every once in a while, just to check our progress. So, say 2 or 3 a year tournaments competed in, just to see our progress, see that growth, season by season. But it's going to be mostly through training or practice rounds that we're going to get there. Slowly but surely. Nice. See, there's 19. Exchange 12, we get right back to that 50,000 mark. And I'm actually going to go a little above that. Let's trade in 15 for now. So we'll slowly start to accumulate a little bit of cash, get above that model. We can train at a higher level once we reach those 30s. But in the meantime, let's keep working on getting there. So I'm going to get the short irons all the way to 30 here over time. And there you go, it's up to 8 for now. But we have more cash than we started with. And while I haven't trained much, I've trained some. Like I said, we're good. Wolverine Studios, we're good. You're my friend again. Okay, that holiday season, I like that it trains a bit faster there. See, it's nothing but copper stars right now, but I'm okay with that. Okay, we are into tournaments now, but again, I'm not competing, not yet. I did say I was going to do one though, didn't I? Just to check progress. Okay, well, nothing this week. All right, so Farmingdale, tougher course, the Canal Championship. I'm going to go ahead and enter one. But before I do that, let's head back to the profile. We have 25 to use. I'm going to sell 15 of those. So I want to slowly increase that money. Okay, that's 54. Let's sell one more. I want to 2 more. Okay, 56. So cash continuing to just inch its way up. Fatigue is now recovered, so that 4 days of training, 3 days of rest is a sustainable model on the fatigue side. And that's going to allow for an upgrade of 8 more on the short irons. And until I get all of these all the way up to 30, I'm not changing the model. I don't need to get out of copper star range. Okay, here we go. So 2 of 16. Slow improvement, but improvement, and not going broke. So I'm happy, very happy. All right, we're going to watch this round. We'll sim the second round. We are obviously going to miss the cut by a country mile. AI Control. We're playing alongside Charles Hernandez and James Perry. It's sunny, light winds, and we are at Farmingdale for this tournament. We're going to be the blue ball, and there's our first tee off, and our first shot is an ugly one. Our second shot is an ugly one, but it gets through the trees at least. Decent on those wedges, and that's a decent shot. We managed to save par on that first hole. Now, we're not going to stick with this all the way through the round. There's not much point. Just watch a few holes, and then we'll kind of send through the rest of the round to see where we're at. But good second shot there. Not a bad start to this round at all. But with no consistency, literally, my consistency is a 0. It's not sustainable. There's no way we're going to make this cut. But there were improvements to the AI overall, so you never know. We could really surprise ourselves. It was a great second shot there, by the way. We're very much looking at a par. We're at a -1 for the round. This is so funny how different this is to the 1.0. It's only 3 holes. It will change. I'm absolutely certain of it. We missed the fairway on that one, but we're at least in light rough. You could definitely see the power deficit as we're coming up well short of the other 2 golfers. Again, my power is a 0. So I will lose some strokes to the power deficit. But power is something that could be made up. It's going to cost you some strokes on, like, say, a par 5. It's going to be really hard to get a birdie on a par 5 when it's taking you an extra stroke to reach the green. But power doesn't matter on a par 3. Power is not going to matter on most par 4s. That was an ugly one, and we're still having an ugly one, and it's still ugly. It's taken 3 shots to get to where we're at. So the inevitable collapse is beginning, but I don't care. I really don't care. You gotta start somewhere, and as long as there is a model for growth, we'll get there where we need to be eventually. And that's why I'm content with the situation right now. I'm content that we just took 7 shots on that par 4 5th hole. Because you know what? If I go out in real life, I might hit a 7 on a par 4 too. It happens. And I know it happens because I've done it. Done it plenty of times. I'm not a very good golfer, but I just go out and try to have fun. And I've hit birdies in real life on occasion, but I've hit a lot more bogeys, a lot more double bogeys than I've hit birdies. But it's fun. And you really do get better when you play often. So finally, the game has a model where I can start off being like I am in real life. Not good at golf. Look at that. We went the wrong direction to get out from that tree. Oof. Into the bunker. We're all in the bunker. We all wanted to hang out together. We're having a good chat, James, Charles, and I. That was a decent chip. And that's kind of the way I am, really. Is I can hit some pretty bad shots. But I do hit some nice shots. I mean, there is some quality to the form. There's just not the consistency. There are some things that I can do well. And there are some things that can be done poorly, like that. That was a nice shot from Charles there. All right. Well, clearly we are out of contention. We are at a +9, It will be ugly. Not a big deal. But let's go ahead and sim the rest of the round. We did have a single birdie, the first of our career. We were at a -1 after 3 holes, so that was fun while it lasted. We've bogeyed every hole on the back hole, the back 9 so far. In fact, we have bogeyed or worse. How many holes in a row was that? The streak lasted 3, 6, 9, 10 holes in a row were a bogey or worse. But look at that. Nice solid finish. 3 pars in a row to end the round. Plus 18 on the day. That's ugly. But that's realistic. And that's okay. We will get better. Alright, let's sim this round. See how bad this one is. A 90. And we'll switch back to our normal model. There you go. Back to training for a while. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hit sim season for a while. We will stop simulation here after a little bit. We'll keep an eye mostly on the cache. And I'll keep a little eye here on the notification center just to see if we don't get a single bronze star at some point. But my guess is the simple coding change was they took the $500 training model, that lowest one, and made it 75-80% likely that you would earn a copper star. But nothing else. Just copper star. But that's okay. Because it's a way to keep the playthrough going. So, thank you. Really appreciate that. I have got the worst scoring average of any golfer at 89.5. I averaged 2 putts. It's even that. I mean, I got a 55 on putting. I should be better than that, but without the consistency, I guess. Driving accuracy, just 25%. I mean, like, I'm dead last in most stats. Greens in red, driving accuracy, 237. Same with the scoring average. It's the benchmark, 89.5, so that's us. 237 is the lowest. Putting average, we're not dead last. And even the driving distance, not dead last. Part of that's because I have a male golfer. There are female golfers, and they do tend to have shorter driving distances. Most of them are probably out-driving me, though. Or many are, anyway. There's 50-50, so you figure there's going to be about 115, 118 girls. So some of them are out-driving me, anyway. Okay, so we can afford to train for quite a while. Not much happening there. Let's see, we've done about 32 training sessions by this point. Right, we spent about 16,000, so 500 per training, so times 2. Now about 40. So I'm curious, if we're at 40, this is a good time to check in. Yeah, it just went up a little bit more. We just had another week's worth of training. So about 44. Let's see where we're at here. 35. So yeah, about 75%. Meaning you spend 2,000, you're guaranteed about 3,000 back. Which means, sure, you got to trade in a bunch of these. Like, let's trade in 25. We're up to 60,000, but there's 10 left. And they're all going to the short irons. Now, later on, you've got to get more creative. You've got to balance back and forth between this training at the 500 and other training ones, because obviously we can't get above copper. So once those three categories are all 30 and above, I've got to start mixing it up. I got to go back and forth, but I know what to do. We'll make this work. Alright, we nearly have the short irons done, and then we'll be down to power and consistency. And we are to April. Might go for another tournament here soon to see. But at this point, all I've improved is short iron, so I'll at least finish that training before we go into that. But let's go back into simming the season. I guess it doesn't matter a whole lot if I have fatigue built up anyway. So let's go back to training 5 days a week. All right, we'll develop a little bit faster that way. So that way we can kind of hover back and forth between training 4 days a week and training 5 days a week. So looking at Dylan Martinez, top scorer, compared to us, we have a deficit of 20 shots per round to make up in time. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. But now with a sustainable model, we'll get there eventually. So this is it. This is the final playthrough. This one will succeed. I can guarantee you that. You can see even now the fatigue is barely below that mark. So we're okay training 5 times a week for a while. Alright, let's get to the next event. We're going to do another check-in, see if we're any better, but first let's go to that profile and see what do we have to work with. Another 30 and 20 will continue that slow increase in cash. That leaves us with 10 for upgrades. That will finish off the short irons. Okay, and that leaves us with enough to actually start getting a small amount of consistency going. And so yes, I decided to increase the power last. But we now have a consistency of 6. So, making progress. We are absolutely, no doubt about it, making progress. But let's go ahead and check that progress against an actual field. It's futile. It's just fun to see where we're at. Definitely under AI control. And, ooh, this is a fun one. I want to say her name is Renate and Caesar. So Renate and Caesar are playing with us. There's no wind. It's sunny. So at least the conditions are good. That doesn't mean much. I am the blue ball again, and that's us. So we're actually off to a good start in this round. 2 shots in. Third shot, not so good. It's a par 5. We've still got a chance to get a par on this hole. That's an okay chip. We're about 12 feet out. Difficult putt. And we miss it, so we do open with a bogey. So we've already dropped our first shot after just a single hole. Excellent shot off the tee that time, though. Not so good on the second. We had the distance right. Great. Oh, and it's in! Beautiful shot. We chip it in from over the bunker. Good little distance away. Great chip. And we're back to even par. That's only the second birdie that we've hit in our career. Excellent second shot. Good so far. This is going to be a tough third shot here, though, with our power deficit. Oof, not so good on that fourth shot. I think we're looking at a bogey here. Yes, we are. Give that shot back to go back to +1. But overall, already looking a little bit better. Probably not. It's only a small sample size. Nice shot there. That'll be a tap in from there. And that's in. So we stay at +1. That should be a makeable par. Oh yeah. We'll hit that par. No problem. Alright, so we've got a good little round going here. Let's go ahead and sim through and see where we're at. Because obviously we're not going to be making the cut here. It's just good to have the progress. A birdie on 6. We've got a nice round going here. Just +1 on the front 9. Still +1. Now +2 as we head through 13. +3 overall. You can see we're starting to drift a little bit. +4 for the round. But all in all, that's a 75. My average was an 89.5 heading into this. So now that we have the short irons, we can use any club in the bag. We're not good at all of them, but we can at least use them. Consistency is only a 6. So that's going to take some time to develop and get there. So we'll have a bad stretch here and there still. But what a massive difference that round was from just a few months back, now that we can actually use every club. We still have the worst average, but it's 5 strokes better than it was. Our driving accuracy, we moved up a spot, we're not dead last. Driving distance is just about the worst now. But again, it's a 0. So of course it was going to be that bad. How do we do on round 2? A 77. Also, much, much better round from our first tournament. Doesn't make the cut. Doesn't matter. Alright, let's go back to our model. 2 rest days. And let's get back to training. So in the long term, the model, the training model, what that's essentially going to end up looking like is that I'm going to have to do, like, say, a month of training in this manner. The $500 training, pick up all those copper stars, and sell them. Once I've got everything to 30, right? Like once the consistency hits 30, once the power hits 30, and I get beyond the effect of a copper star. Train for a month at 500. So that's going to cost me, what, 10,000? But it's going to profit, right? Turn around and sell those at 75% of, let's see, 20 sessions. So that's 15,000. So you got a profit of about 5,000 in 1 month of training. You train a couple rounds then, a couple days of training at a much higher level. Or a few days of training, 1 week of training at a higher level, right? You keep a balanced checkbook, and that 1 week worth of training, occasionally we're going to start earning a bronze star. Occasionally we're going to start earning a silver star. Now you use those to develop the attributes, the higher attributes. That's how this model will work. It's how it becomes sustainable. You still have to do the bulk of the training on that base level to stay sustainable, to keep the cash flowing. It doesn't flow fast, but it keeps you alive. It keeps you solvent. And then you can occasionally train at a higher level and earn something more than a copper star to begin developing further. And with that, you can stay above 0. You can keep a cash flow. which means you can succeed. Takes more time, right? You gotta do a month of training in a useless manner to do a week of training in a decent manner. So it takes 5 weeks to get what you would have gotten in 1 week otherwise. But it becomes all worth it in the long term because it can be done. It can keep you alive, keep you afloat. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode, but let me go ahead and stop this sim, and we'll get that cash flow back up. So we'll hit up that profile. There are 36. It's going to take me about 30 to get, let's say 28. We'll exchange 28. It's got us up to 67,000 now, so that 50,000 that we started with, just slowly creeping up there. Of course, once I change the that training model, that'll go away pretty quick. But we're just slowly putting a little bit away, and that'll allow me to get 8 more. So that consistency is about to jump to 14. I'll go ahead and do that off camera. But short irons, they've reached 30. Consistency is now going to be about halfway towards 30, and the power has yet to go. So the 3 that needed to cover this copper star gap, I'm about halfway through it. It's August, so it's taken almost a year, but my golfer's 18. He's got plenty of time to grow. So give it another year, minus a month or two, meaning we're looking at about June, May of next season until I get these all to 30 or above. And then that's where things will start to get interesting. What I was just describing of, about 4 weeks of training just to keep the funding up for a week of actual real good, decent quality training just to get a couple stars to improve. So the rate of training is going to slow down a lot, but it's going to be there. It will work. We're going to make it. I'm excited. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.